welcome back to another E38 video. Today, we're going to give the 740i some much needed love, so let's get started. The two jobs that we will focus on is replacing the steering wheel with a period correct M Sport one and the cracked plastic trim piece on the bumper. Now the first thing that we'll focus on is replacing the 4-spoke steering wheel with the 3-spoke M Sport wheel, which has always been a goal of mine since I purchased the car 3 years ago. Now, if you're doing this job yourself, make sure you get the proper wheel and airbag depending on the year of your car. E38s and E39s built before March of 1999 have a single stage airbag system, while cars after March of 1999 have a dual stage airbag system, and therefore the slip rings and electronic connectors are not the same. So make sure you get the correct airbag system and wheel depending on the manufacture date of your car. Anyways, I managed to find a dual stage one at a local junkyard in fairly good condition from a 2001 BMW 740i Sport and ended up paying 200 Canadian dollars, which in my opinion is a pretty good deal, as sellers on eBay seem to charge anywhere between $250 to $500 US. So after purchasing the steering wheel, the first task was to clean it, as it's from a junkyard and you never know what the steering wheel has been through. Nevertheless, the condition of the leather was in pretty good shape with no tears or discoloration, but it was fairly filthy. I first cleaned the airbag with a leather brush and auto glim leather cleaner, and I lightly agitated the leather to remove the dirt and filth that was on the surface. Afterwards, I got a paper towel to remove all the dirt. Keep in mind that paper towels are very abrasive and can damage the leather surface, so you don't want to use too much force when applying it. I made sure to apply the paper towel very lightly, just enough to remove the filth. Anyways, let's get on with the steering wheel replacement. Before replacing the steering wheel, I made sure to disconnect the battery, as you need to disconnect the airbag electrical connection. Otherwise, you will get an airbag warning light. So the first step was to remove the airbag and multimedia functions. There's 2 screws behind the steering wheel that hold it in place. Once those are unscrewed, you can slowly remove the airbag and the multimedia unit on the 4-spoke steering wheel. Now it's time to remove the electrical connectors. I first removed the white one on the right for the multimedia controls and the black and yellow one in the middle for the airbag. Be careful and don't apply too much force around the connectors, as you can break the plastic that surrounds the connectors. And as you can see, this is what the dual stage airbag looks like along with the electrical connectors, and it's clearly different compared to the single stage airbag. Once that's taken out, remove the bolt that holds the wheel to the steering column. In my case, I have heated steering, and I believe that small red electrical connector on the left is for heated steering, so I had to remove that carefully in order to take the wheel off. Also, be careful that the slip ring doesn't fall out once you remove the wheel. When putting on the new steering wheel, make sure the mark on the column and mark on the wheel are aligned at the center position. Afterwards, you can torque on the bolt. BMW ISTA says that it should be torqued to 62.5 Newton meters. Afterwards, it's pretty much the reverse of putting everything back on. And when screwing in the airbag screws, BMW ISTA recommends to torque to 2 Newton meters, but I think as long as it's hand tight, it should be fine. And as you can see, no warning lights on the dash, which is great. The steering wheel controls also work, and the buttons light up when you turn the lights on. Overall, I'm really happy with the new steering wheel. It totally changes the driving experience of the car, as the other 4-spoke steering wheel is substantially bigger, and you sometimes feel like you're turning a bus. Well, not really, but all jokes aside, the 3-spoke just feels more fitting to the car. And while I do give up the heated steering, I can always put the old wheel back in during the winter time. Anyways, let's move on to some much needed body work. So a while back, the plastic bumper trim on the driver's side ended up getting cracked by a log rolling down my driveway. And after some time, the plastic continued to crack and it developed a hole. Now this trim piece is a little hard to get to, and I decided to replace the whole trim piece rather than repairing just the cracked part so it could look more uniform. And as for the new trim piece, I purchased it from my local dealer for 90 Canadian dollars, which was actually the cheapest option, and honestly quite surprising that they had this piece in stock. First, you need to take off the bumper, which requires a T50 Torx bit to remove the 2 bolts which hold the bumper in place. Once that's removed, you might want to remove any wires or disconnect any electrical connectors that are in the way for the fog lights and the parking sensors. Now, in order to remove the bumper trim, I had to screw off the headlight washer jet, which holds it in place, along with another plastic trim piece that sits on top of it. At this point, you need to be very careful with these plastics. I actually ended up breaking one of the plastic tabs on the upper trim piece, and I had to super glue it back together. Now that we have a clear opening, we can finally replace the trim pieces. And putting back everything is pretty much just the reverse process. Just make sure to use caution and take your time, as these old plastics can break very easily. Well everyone, that's it for this update on my 7 Series. The total cost for both jobs was just 290 Canadian dollars, which was just the parts. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more updates on this 740i. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.